Alright, so as you already know, in exactly 3 weeks from now, we'll be playing Sonic X Shadow Generations. And we were all very excited for that. And we got some news to talk about regarding Sonic X Shadow Generations and it's some important shit, okay? But, unfortunately, there's something even greater than Sonic X Shadow Generations that may be in the pipeline that's getting some traction once again. And we're gonna have to talk about that as well. It's getting kind of peak right now, okay? So, we're gonna get to all of this right now. But to subscribe, please make sure to subscribe, alright? So, we have a lot of Sonic X Shadow Generation stuff to talk about, but we have to talk about this shit first because we need to get out of the way. It's some crazy shit. There's a new leaker in town. Apparently a friend, I don't know. It's getting really crazy. We'll get into this, okay? They posted this. Future program of the Sonic mobile game, Sonic Child Guardians for Netflix, Sonic Soccer Strikers for Apple Arcade, and Sega All-Stars Tennis for Apple Arcade. Apple is basically funding Sega at this point. What the fuck? How they getting all these? How they getting tennis and football? Sega Highlight is responsible for the development of these 3 games. They'll be released for Android and iOS in 2025 and 2026. So was it Apple Arcade or Android and iOS? Like, make up your mind. I don't know, but they got like a whole like pipeline here, like, you know, like a PDF, like a little screenshot from PDF file. Like, you see, the thing about the phrase PDF files, people have ruined it online. Now I'm saying it in the context of like Adobe, and now I'm thinking of weird shit. Now you see, you people ruined a good phrase. Okay, anyway, let's get to the more important shit, right? This person says also the SHR title, basically Sonic Heroes Remake, has been under construction since 2023, and its release date is autumn 2025. There's a possibility of delay. And I probably think, who the fuck is this person, right? Why should we trust them? They're saying this leak is about a friend from Midori. So Midori's friend apparently is saying this. Also, I am completely sure of my words, and SHR is under construction. And they go as far as to say this. This is not a prediction, guess, or anything else. I don't care if you believe it or not, but it will happen, okay? Now, like, who is this person? Are they telling the truth? Why would you want to believe them? Well, of course you want to believe them because they're talking about Heroes Remake, and we all want that, right? Because it's the GOAT. But, like, what is their credibility? I don't know, right? I'm going through the Twitter to see what they post. You know, like, there's things here. Like, there's a tease of Infinite and Shadow Generations, which Infinite should be there, right? If they got forces there, well, then Infinite should be there. Like, I don't think that's a thing that we can attribute to this one leaker, right? But I took a look at that. But this is the one that really intrigued me, because there were some Sonic movie posters, and this person was able to get all of the posters for Sonic Movie 3 in high res with a download link on Google Drive. I went through the Google Drive. This is like high res, like the kind of pictures that you'd only get like if you're inside, right? Like the actual OG images. Like the one that they had at the Transformers movie that you had to buy the ticket and you had to pay to get that poster. Like, but they've got it like as a full image in full quality. It's not AI upscaled or anything. And like multiple different posters for Sonic Movie 3. I went through the whole Google Drive. So, like, I'm not saying that everything they say must be correct, but there's also some Movie 3 leaks down there. I'm not going to scroll past because there's shit there. But this person has some kind of credibility, so I have to talk about this. I don't have that much to say because I'll do a full video on what I want to see in the Heroes Remake. But I mean, Midori already talked about Heroes Remake. Zippo already talked about it. Like, it's been talked about from other leakers, even if you don't believe this person. But the idea of it being 2025 is pretty interesting. But it makes logical sense because Sega has gone on record to say that they want to re-release more games, right? They've already done, like, the classic shit with Origins, right? We just got What's-Its-Face, Sonic Generations re-released. I already said before, the major ones left is SA1, SA2, Unleashed, and Heroes. 06 isn't going to get done. Storybook probably is not a priority for them. And let's face it, Adventure, they're not going to do that first because they're scared, right? So Heroes, like, Unleashed has the Werehog, and it's controversial, even though I love the Werehog. Heroes is like the likely next one, right? Now you factor in that Sonic sells best on Nintendo hardware, Switch 2 is next year, they want to have something that's a Switch 2 game. Obviously Shadow Generations will probably get the Switch 2 bump in frame rate from 30 to 60, but they probably want to have something like, here's our Switch 2 release, like Nintendo users buy this thing kind of thing. So, you know, getting in early will be good for them because there won't be as many new games on the Switch 2, so to bring in that GOAT remake early in the Switch 2's life, would be good for Sega. They'll get them early sales, you know. People were buying 1-2 Switch because it was there and they were desperate. People bought ARMS and they didn't play it after. I love ARMS, for the record. I'm just making the point that, you know, getting in early will be good for Sega in that sense. And of course, like, we are in the, like, revival of the 2000s, not just in terms of like the games and the aesthetic and the tone, but the idea that we're getting the content on store. There's always going to be some kind of release every year. Shadow Generations is the big release for this year. I know they expressed interest in maybe doing Advanced Trilogy at some point, but I don't think that's happening next year. Frontiers 2, we all know is in development, but that's not going to be ready till 2026 to 2027, so there has to be a 2025 release, right? I'm sure there'll be some Shadow Gens DLC as well, maybe in 2025, but Heroes being the big one, it makes sense, right? It's going to be a great multiplayer. You know, the reception is going to be great because it's obviously the GOAT. Once they take out the lives, you know, people won't game over because they suck. You know, like, it will review well. You know, you polish it up a little bit. But look, I'll make a full video on that. But I think, obviously I want it to happen, but I think this is believable. But yeah, it's a rumor. We'll see what happens, but it just makes sense. Because if it's not Heroes, then something else has to be coming out next year. I don't think it's going to be like a brand new game in terms of the big shit. Obviously, you've got the other rumors here, like the Tennis and the Strikers. Like, but this is Netflix and Apple Arcade. The big boy release being Heroes makes sense, but again, it's a rumor. We'll see what happens. Let's hope it happens, because again, I said this before, if we get GTA 6, new 3D Mario, new Mario Kart, and Sonic Heroes in 1 year, gaming will never reach those highs in 1 year ever again. That'll be the greatest year in all of gaming, and we'll just have to bow down to that year until the day we die. It's as simple as that. Anyway, on to Sonic. What's the name of it? What's the game coming out? See, Heroes got me forgetting everything. On to Shadow Generations. There was a debate before, because I think it was Izuka, one of the producers of Shadow Generations, said that it wasn't going to be the length of Sonic Generations, like, slow down, it's like a little small side thing, right? They were kind of downplaying it, but then we were seeing the amount of content we were getting, and they were like, hold on a minute, this feels like it's his own game, right? Like, what are they talking about? And now it says here, in a new interview for Famitsu, Shun Nakamura has confirmed that Shadow Generations is about the same length, maybe a little less, little bit, than Sonic Generations' full story in the replies. And yeah, it says here, ever since Shadow's campaign was rumored to be added to a Sonic Generations remaster, it's been often wondered how long it will be and exactly what the scale would be. With past additional campaigns like Sonic Force Episode Metal and Sonic Force Episode Shadow being incredibly short, Shadow Generations has been proving to be more and more of an ambitious game in terms of scale, with new levels, new cutscenes, new powers, and more. Famitsu, via Reset Error and confirmed with machine translation, interviewed Sonic X Shadow Generations producer Shun Nakamura at Tokyo Game Show, where he confirmed that the Shadow Generations campaign will be about the same length, maybe a little less, than the core Sonic Generations campaign. What this means remains to be seen, if it perhaps means there's still some unannounced levels from Shadow's history incoming, or Shadow's Sonic Frontiers-esque white space builds its path into a relatively full-length campaign. So, what do I think, right? Sonic Generations realistically would be beaten in like an hour if it wasn't for the additional shit. If it was just the levels, right, you could beat most of them on levels in like around 2 minutes or less. Maybe more than Planet with 3 to 4 minutes. There's like 9 levels. That's like 18 minutes. We say 30 minutes for Classic, 30 minutes for more. Add in the bosses, it's under 2 hours. But because of the cutscenes, because of the missions, they make you do the missions to progress. Not all of them, but they make you do some missions to progress. It lengthens the experience, right? You know. So, I feel like with Shadow Generations, we haven't seen more than one act per area. In certain trailers, we've seen 2D Kingdom Valley gameplay in trailers, but in the full Kingdom Valley level showcase, we didn't see any 2D. There was not a single 2D section in the Kingdom Valley footage. So that means that 2D Kingdom Valley gameplay we saw must be for another act, right? So we know that there's gotta be like, potentially at least 2 acts for each environment, right? Because they're not gonna do all that access for one level, right? They're gonna milk it at least twice, right? So 2 acts, maybe a 2D act to balance things out. Then we can factor in maybe some kind of forced collectibles to progress, just like in Frontiers, you had to collect the I forgot what you had to collect to get into the portals. You know, you got a whole open zone, so there's gonna be some kind of things in the open zone to pad out the length a bit to make it comparable to Sonic Generations in length, right? It makes logical sense. So it being around Generations length does make sense, you know, and we'll look forward to seeing how long it actually is once we beat it. Obviously, we're a lot quicker at generations because we've been beating Sonic gens for years, but we'll see how it goes with that. But there is a full interview, okay? There's a full interview, and this is obviously the Famitsu article that's been translated to English. I have not read the full interview yet, so I don't know if there's any major, stuff to discuss in here. So I understand if you want to leave the video now, but I'm going to read through or skim through the interview and see if there's any new tidbits about the game that we haven't seen yet. So we're gonna get through this right now. Sonic X Shadow Generations is designed to be the first game for Sonic beginners. We also heard about the development of the DLC in which Keanu Reeves will be the voice actor. So I like this part here. They're designed to be the first game because I've always said, obviously, like Generations is not a top 5 Sonic game for me personally. Like, my goats, right? But I've always said Sonic Generations was the entry point. Like the game that if someone was a Sonic casual and they just wanted a Sonic game to play, that's the one I'll give them, and I know that it would have the least resistance, right? I can't give them Heroes because it's too hard. It's got some jank. The adventure games are dated now in terms of like graphically, and not everyone's ready for that. Okay, I love them. SA1's in my top 5 Sonic, but like Generations is the easiest game to recommend. Colors is cringe. Too much 2D. They ask for a 3D platform, you get in Colors. Look, Gens has got 2Ds. The point I'm trying to make is Generations is the entry point. It's a summary of everything that happened before in a nice, quick 2 to 4 hour package. It's not too difficult. It's not too buggy or anything like that. It's a simple recommend, right? And adding Shadow Gens to that, I think, is going to be the ultimate recommendation because you've got the Sonic Generations portion and then you got the Shadow because Shadow's cool and this is the more modern game now. So that makes logical sense, and I'm glad they tackled the game with that in mind and not just like as an afterthought. But yes, it's scheduled to be released October 25th, but 22nd for those who got the Digital Deluxe, which you have to get the Digital Deluxe if you want the movie Shadow and the Keanu shit. So basically, everyone's getting the Digital Deluxe. Let's be real. Yeah, yada yada yada. I'm literally gonna skim through Sonic X Shadow Tokyo Mission. I'm gonna skim through until I see something interesting. Basically, I don't want to read too much. The recent State of Play DLC was linked to the movie. Was this DLC decided to be produced from the beginning of the development? Nakamura said no, it wasn't decided from the beginning. However, this time it was a title. Shadow Jump was a title that was decided to be developed in the anticipation of Shadow Play Actor. So they admit that they designed it around the movie because, again, multimedia era, right? So the movies dictate where the franchise goes, right? Which is probably another reason why, not to detour back to the GOAT, but probably another reason why that Heroes remake is getting done because, like, Sonic Movie 4 is either going the Silver route, which aka 06, or the Metal Sonic route, aka Heroes, right? Metal Overlord one way, Silver the other way. Those are the 2 routes they could probably go next, right? I don't see them doing Warehawk, but those are the 2 routes. So if they're doing the Heroes remake, it could allude to Movie 4 definitely being like that Metal Sonic plot, and then Metal Sonic becomes the cool big villain. And then they add like DLC for the Heroes remake where Metal Sonic is playable. Like that could be a thing. But anyway, back to Shadow Generations. Anticipation of the movie, there was a console. I want to realize content linked to the movie. However, the specific talk of DLC started to move after the production of the game and movie progressed. When I told them I want to make content related to the movie after all, the movie side was also enthusiastic. The worldview of the movie and the game are slightly different, but with this DLC, I think it'll be possible to create a flow where people who know Sonic from the movie will play the game, or people who play the game will watch the movie. Alright, that makes sense. This year's theme for the Sonic brand is Fearless, Year of Shadow, and Shadow is featured in various media, but how did you decide on this theme? On the Year of Shadow theme? Yeah, anticipation of the movie, yada yada yada, yada yada, yeah, easier for customers to understand. The movie was not shared in advance, but Shadow appears at the end of the second movie, so there's no way Shadow will not play an active role in the direction of the game. So they didn't even know what was going to be in the movie. They were just like, we know Shadow going to be in it because we saw the second one. Let's work on Shadow in the game. They're just following the lead of Paramount at this point. But yeah, compared to a long time ago, I feel like the whole Sonic brand is more cohesive. Games are constantly released every year. Yeah, oh god, 2016 Prem, like he's getting so like vindicated right now. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Like he's feeling like yes, he was right. Like I'm looking back to him like yeah, you were right. You were right to critique the drought. Like this is what we need right now. There are also movies and events. I can sense the awareness of continuously providing content to maintain the heat of the brand. Exactly. But when did such a system come into place? It's hard to say exactly when it started, but as the Sonic IP has grown, we've had to think about partnering with other companies on other products. Not just games, we've been trying and testing things. We've decided to set a solid planned theme for the Sonic IP, develop it steadily every year, and increase our customer base. Thank you. Building the brand, games every year, the things that, you know, I mean, it's their fault that the drought happened anyway, because they were releasing so many mediocre products that no one cared anymore, except hardcore fans. So it's their fault. So I get why the drought happened, and then the movies had to come and dig them out of the grave. The movies was like getting a loan when you were flat on your face kind of thing. It's like, we'll just come in and just like reinvigorate this brand for you so you can start making big budget games again. Like, we owe so much to these movies, man. We owe so much to Tyson Hess. Like, we owe so much, like, really. But anyway, let's keep going. I think one of the catalysts that made you think this way was the first movie. Yes, that's right. After the first movie, game sales also increased. I especially feel this when I go on business trips overseas. When I go to a store and look at the shelves of games and toys, I can always see Sonic products lined up beside other major IPs. Look, I swear, I was in a shopping center, right? I was in a shopping center, and there was like a comic book / merch shop that I'd never seen in the shopping center before. It was new. And in the window, you could see all sorts of Sonic merch. I've been going to this place for like decades. Never seen this shop, and now there's like all this. Like, they made this thing cool again. Like, they really made Sonic cool again. Like, you guys have forgotten like what it was like in the Boom era. Like, I can't believe I started my channel off the Rise of Lyric. Like we were really in it was a fucking mess. Okay, but anyway, yeah, stuff in Japan don't often have a chance to experience. Or staff, sorry, don't have a chance to experience Sonic's popularity overseas. So when I go on business trips overseas, I try to take them to supermarkets and apparel stores as much as possible. Mr. Shigihara, do you also feel that there are more products on the shelves? Shigihara, I'm trying to remember who that is. I need to recognize the importance of this person before I read their words. Level designer for colors. Oh no. Oh no. Director for Shadow Generations. Okay, so this is the director for the game. He did the Olympic Games. You got a special thanks / game designer on Gens. And then obviously you got level designer on Colors Ultimate because it's just colors again. Director for art. Yeah, I mean, your track record isn't the strongest, but we'll let you off because Shadow Gens is looking good right now, okay? But let's see what you have to say, okay? Yes, when you go to the games section, you can see Sonic games right in front of you, and there are many kinds of stuffed toys. I feel that this is firmly recognized as a major title. So I think that the unified development of the Sonic IP led to the production of the DLC for this movie. But how did the development of DLC proceed? Nakamura says the number of staff members at Sega who know the specific details of the movie is quite limited. We don't know much about it either, but we were told that the story takes place in Tokyo and Shadow appears in it, so we thought up the content based on that. So they really are in the dark. I'm guessing only a small amount of like people in Sonic Team even know. Maybe Azuka knows the plot of the movie and that's about it. Like, I think they're keeping that close to their chest because they don't want the whole plot to leak, even though it's obvious what's going to happen because we play the games. Right? I mean, look, it's not a direct copy of the games, but you know. It says here, the voice of Shadow in this DLC is provided by Keanu Reeves, who plays Shadow in the movie, right? Nakamura says, when the contents of the DLC hadn't been finalized yet, I was told I'm going to record lines for the DLC, so I want you to prepare a script. And I remember panicking and thinking, what should I do, what should I do? After that, the data recorded in America was sent to me, but Daddy Zook told me, please don't ask me who the voice is. The casting was kept a secret from Nakamura-san too, so he had no idea it was Keanu Reeves. Yes, we found out at the same time that everyone saw the movie trailer and found out about the cast. I listened to the dates and thought, maybe, but when I saw the movie trailer, I finally got the answer. So basically, he heard the voice clips, but didn't know it was Keanu, basically. He was just like, maybe it's Keanu, but like, we don't really know it's Keanu. And they got confirmed it was Keanu. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. But it says here, in the DLC introduction video, you can see Shibuya. But did you go to Shibuya for location scouting? Yes, it's a place I know well, but I walked there thinking, what would it be like if Shadow were to run there? Since the setting is Tokyo, places other than Shibuya may also appear. Ooh. How many levels are we gonna get in this DLC? Is it gonna be like a 3-level pack? Like, how much is gonna be in this? I mean, like, let's think about how much are we paying for this extra content, right? If you go to Steam right now, the base game is, was it £45? And then the Digital Deluxe is $55. And the only additional content in the Digital Deluxe is the movie pack and some skins and skill points in general. skill points and gens, you get that shit just for playing the level. No one needs those. They just threw those in. Plus, we used to use them to buy lives. Anyway, digital art book, extra background music pack. Oh shit, extra background music pack? Wait, does that mean the original music is gonna be in the digital art? I don't know, okay, because they did that with Call of Ultimate, didn't they? But anyway, the real reason you're buying this for the movie pack. Is it possible that it's like 3+? Like 3 levels, something like that? You know, that could be crazy. Like multiple different locations. That could be insane. But it says, for example, Osaki, Sega's headquarters is in Osaki. Nakamura says, I wonder, it would be interesting if it came out. So as you look forward to the future information about the DLC, I would like to ask about the main game. From this summer to autumn, there are opportunities to try out this game all over the world, but what kind of reactions have you received from both inside and outside of Japan? Shigehara says, Shadow is a dark hero and a character with a different charm from Sonic, but I feel his charm is conveyed well. Everyone says he's cool, and I'm happy because I developed him with the aim of making people think that. Nakamura says, there hadn't been a game with Shadow as the main character for many years, so I knew that fans had a very strong desire to see Shadow play an active role. Since there aren't many development lines, it was difficult to make a Shadow game, but it finally happened. This time with the implementation of Doom Power, Shadow grows wings and becomes like an octopus or squid, but fans welcome that too. There are many Sonic fans who draw fan art, we know about them, and various art has already been created. Oh, they've been peeping the deviants. You can feel that Shadow is getting popular. By the way, speaking of wings, we have actually tried something like this. Nakamura takes out a Red Bull limited reversible box that you can get by presenting your reservation. I think I saw this on the Japanese Sonic page, the Red Bull ad with Sonic and Shadow. I've been given, of course. Many people may think of Red Bull when they hear giving wings, and we were able to realize this challenge in collaboration with Red Bull. This box is reversible, and well, okay, it's much. Okay, I've seen this before already. Anyway, even so, Shadow's Dark Hero status is really cool. This main visual is on the serious side, which I think enhances his coolness. Nakamura says, although the character's face is not visible in this visual, I created with the hope that people get a sense of the overall atmosphere of the world and become interested in it. Yeah, let's skip to some more interesting shit. You mentioned Doom Power earlier, but how many types of Doom Power are there? We saw this in the trailers. It's Doom Sphere, Doom Blast, Doom Surf, and then Doom Wing, Doom Morph. We know about that. The element of exploration, if I use Doom Power, I can go this place, is what adds depth to the game. What does that mean the ring is placed here? How can I get here, etc.? Think about it. As you learn how to use your abilities, the ways to play will expand, so you've worked hard to create this game. Shigehara says you can clear the game without using... Ooh, that's an interesting point, because we've been wondering for a while, right? Because, like, in Colors, like, you don't actually need the Wisp to beat the majority of the game. I think there's maybe a few areas where you have to. But for the majority of the game, like, you don't need Wisp to actually finish the game. To get red rings, you do. But to get from A to B, you don't. So this is an important confirmation here. You can beat Shadow Generations without using the Doom powers. It's designed to be easy to play. Oh, we know that. Even for those who have little gaming experience, such as those who learned about Sonic and Shadow from the movies and anime. Is there another anime that I'm unaware of? I talk about the animations that they put on YouTube. On the other hand, for users who are looking to beat their time, you can get a faster time by using Doom Power and Chaos Control, so please give it a try. If you use Chaos Control, the time in the game will also stop, right? So if you want to optimize your times in the game, then you can do that. Of course, they didn't make the rankings challenging, so everyone's going to get S ranks regardless, but you know. When using Chaos Control, space-time is distorted and time stops, but only Shadow can move and go to the end of the course, so that's how it works. Shigehara says, so if you're trying to beat your time, you need to think about where to use Chaos Control and create your own route and your own playstyle. Nakamura says, the development staff is working hard saying we've broken the time, but with Sonic, users are setting records that far surpass the times of the development staff. Shigehara says, oh, there was a route like this, I thought, and I discovered routes that even developers hadn't noticed, so I'm looking forward to that after the game's release. This is important because like you want to see what the speedrunners do with these tools, right? You always want there to be some unintended shit in the game, like a platformer. You know. Okay, now they're getting to story. The story trailer was released the other day, and fans were excited to see Mephiles and Maria. Nakamura says basically the story will depict Shadow's relationship with Black Doom and Maria, who have a connection with him. The new element this time, Doom Power, was given to Shadow by Black Doom, and of course there is an intention behind it, but how will Shadow approach it? I hope you will look forward to that. Rather than being heavily involved in the story, Mephiles is more of a guest, okay? Although calling him a guest might be misleading, he is a character who is only able to appear in Generations. You mean like Shadow Generations, right? Not Sonic Generations. They're not talking about that, are they? He wasn't in that Generations, you know. I think Methodist is a character with a strong fan base. Were you all aware of his popularity? Nakamura says, because it's a long-running series, players have different characters, bosses, and game styles they're attached to, depending on which game they started with. Well, not just on which game they start with, it could just be which game they prefer, right? That's both a joy and a worry, but this time, as it's Generations, I was able to pick interactions with old characters. I think that in the future, if it's a title that is related to past stories, it's possible that I'll depict nostalgic characters. Speaking of the past, the anime Dark Prologue Shadow Maria, which depicts Shadow's roots, was recently released on YouTube. And yeah, it gets into the story of Shadow Gens, the series background. The game includes footage that will allow people who don't know anything about Shadow to understand him. Sonic Generations is a game that traces the history of Sonic, yada yada yada. So I think they've finished the Shadow Generations portion now. They're saying, could you tell us about the highlights of Sonic Generations? This is a remaster of the original version released 13 years ago, but it's not just a port. Please don't lie to us. It adds an element called Chow Rescue, where you collect chow scattered around the world. This will allow you to discover new places you didn't notice in the original version. But when they say around the world, they don't mean like the hub world, they mean like just the levels, right? But another thing we added was the ability to drop dash. I completely forgot about that, which allows you to dash the moment you land on the ground. This is a standard feature in recent games, so it wasn't implemented in the original version, so we hope you'll use it to enjoy strategies. Have the stage contents themselves been changed in the original version? Shigeru says yes. At the time, I was in charge of level design. No, were you in charge of level design? I had your page open before and I've already closed it now. It said game designer / special. Okay, fine. When I look back at it, there's some places I want to change something, but this time I wanted the audience to experience the same excitement as in the original version, so I held back that feeling. Yeah, good, because we don't trust you. I'm joking, okay? Look, I'm not flaming anyone. Okay, relax. As for the graphics, I adjusted the lighting and color. It looks beautiful even in 4K. So, the lighting and color has been adjusted. The game contains 2 titles, but how much gameplay is there? It depends on how you play, but I think the play volume of Shadow Generations is about the same as Sonic Generations, or maybe a little less. If you play both, you can enjoy it for a long time. In the past, only Sonic Generations was released, so it's a great deal. They could have been released separately, but it's a set. Did you ever consider releasing only Shadow Generations? Nakamura says, I think people who have seen the movie will fall in love with Shadow and play the game, but of course I want people who haven't seen the movie to enjoy it too. I wanted it to make Sonic X Shadow Generations a standard title so that people would say, if you play this, you understand Sonic. So I added Sonic Generations, which is highly rated by players. If Shadow's popularity becomes more established in the future, there may be more Shadow games. I think Shadow's already a very popular character, but at this year's Tokyo Game Show, Shadow really stands out. They're making it seem like the game wouldn't have sold to people who, like, if you didn't watch the movie, you wouldn't want to buy Shadow Gens kind of thing. I mean, I don't think that's fair. I think a lot of Sonic fans would have bought Shadow Gens regardless of the movies, but I get it, right? The movies are going to make Shadow have more clout and sell more copies, and the casual audience is what they're worried about because that's where the bulk of the sales come from, right? Says here, when we exhibited Sonic Frontiers 2 years ago, man, that was 2 years ago. We exhibited a large Sonic balloon, so this time we prepared a Shadow balloon. Okay, yeah, it's a balloon. I don't really care about that. We hope that Sonic and Shadow will be popular through the game and the movie from this fall to winter. DLC will be the bridge between the two. Nakamura says, if you purchase the Digital Deluxe Edition, you also get the DLC set in Tokyo, which I mentioned earlier. The Digital Deluxe Edition comes with a skin that you can play as Terios, Shadow's early development design, which you've worked hard on, so I hope you enjoy it. In addition, it comes with an art book and a soundtrack. If you pre-order the package version, you also get a Modern Sonic Legacy skin. Oh, the Adventure skin. It was Modern Sonic, what the fuck? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And that's pretty much it. I still have to pre-order the physical version just so I can get that art book because, like, you know, I didn't pre-order the physical version because I had no need for it, but I do kind of want the art book. But yeah, interesting. You can beat the game without Doom powers. We're in the multimedia, like the same kind of things. I am curious to know how many levels is in this DLC. I really am curious. If it's like 3+, you know, then that's kind of crazy, right? That's actually a decent amount of content. Because like Shadow was in Sonic Forces and he got like How many levels did he get? This is the guy that spoils shit in the thumbnails, right? He got this level, so there was like, yeah, that was the Sunset Heights level. Then there was stage 2. There's probably like 3 stages, right? Of course, they just reused assets, so of course they could have more stages. But at the end of the day, you know, if we get 3 stages in the DLC, that's pretty fire. I think, you know, that's pretty fire in my opinion. But yeah, it's heating up right now. It's a good time to be a Sonic fan. Like Shadow Gens this year, potentially Heroes Remake next year. Look, for those of you who were mad at me back in like 2017 era, when I wasn't positive because of, you know, Forces being mid, like, of course I wasn't gonna be positive, right? It was Forces. You guys are gonna get sick of me next year, because if that Heroes Remake is happening, like, I'm either gonna be like in full glaze mode if they don't fuck it up, or in full angry mode if they do. There's no in between. Okay, I just want to. I'm preparing you. There's no in between for 2025. Either it's full glaze season, and you're gonna be sick of me glazing that game all year, or I'm gonna be fucking pissed at some shit that they ruined. No in between. So I'm just preemptively warning you. Like, Premy 2025 is gonna be one of 2 extremes. All right. Bipolar shit, okay? I'm not actually bipolar before people start, you know, saying some shit, okay? But it's gonna be crazy, okay? Like, you know, some Kanye shit, like, just wilding out. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all of this. Are you looking forward to a potential Heroes remake in 2025? Are you looking forward to Sonic Child Guardians on Netflix? Which is a game, by the way, it's Netflix games. Are you looking forward to these Apple Arcade exclusives, which they say are coming to Android as well? I don't know how that works. Maybe it was Apple Arcade for a bit and then later. I don't know how it works. But are you looking forward to it? Are you looking forward to Shadow Generations? Are you getting the movie DLC? But yeah, I think that's all I have to say right now. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. More content coming soon to the channel. But I ruined my outro. That's all I have to say right now. So, Remy out.